can you also do the record function on your end?
It is already automatically recording since the start.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, thanks for joining us for this webinar. Let's just wait maybe 1 to 2 minutes for the rest to join in. Yeah, we should have at least more than 200 people with us today. Hello, Roger. Yeah, thanks for saying hi. And thanks for joining us. Yeah, good afternoon, Gregory. Okay, let's just wait 1 minute. Yeah, hi, Aloy. Okay, I think we shall start. Okay, firstly, good afternoon, everyone. And thanks for joining us on a Friday afternoon, and also for taking time off your schedule to be with us for this webinar, which is entitled Pursuing a Career in Agility. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Chinese New Year in advance. Have a prosperous year ahead. My name is Daniel. I am a product manager for NTUC LearningHub's project management courses, and I'm from the Infocom Technology department. And before I start, I would like to say a few words. I think most of us will agree that now we are living in a very extraordinary time. Even before COVID-19, we already see digital disruption and technologies changing all around us. But however, COVID-19 has really went on to change the way on how we buy our things, how we meet our friends, how we have office meetings. And we can agree that everything has really changed and accelerated the pace of disruption. So how does this change our lives and our future, especially our jobs and our careers, which are so important to all of us? So today, I'm very happy that we managed to invite Ms. Regina Ong. She's a practicing Agile and leadership coach with over 15 years of experience in portfolio product management and transformation from various industries, including energy, marine, aviation, and innovation. She's also one of our regular trainers in NTUC LearningHub for Ic Agile Courses. Before passing the time to her, I would just like to state that you have, please feel free to put in your questions in the chat. We will leave the last 5 to 10 minutes right at the end for Q&A. And now, without further ado, let me pass the time now to Regina to enlighten us on this Pursuing a Career in Agility. Regina, please.
Thank you. Thanks, Daniel, and a very warm, good afternoon to everyone. Yeah, so I'm very happy to be here with all, and I guess it's also a nice way to end off a week, right? Like let's discover a little bit more about pursuing an agile career, and also maybe what's agile, what's this new buzzword about, and and I'm sure a lot of us are also thinking about the impact of our careers, right? In these quite unusual times. So I'm going to share a little bit with everyone. Also taking some data from some reputable sources. Yeah? So you might recognize a few of these sources. If not, it will be also a chance to learn something new. And at the end, I'm very keen to take questions, and also feel free to come with any questions or any comments. All right. Okay, so a little bit about my background, as what Daniel has shared. I'm also Ic Agile accredited trainer, and currently a practicing coach. Yeah, so working with teams, working with agile teams. You can think of them as project teams, trying to adopt a new way of working. And I also work on a leadership level and with organizations that are transforming. Okay. Yeah, so curious, first question for everyone. What brings you here? And I'm going to start a poll. So I'm going to make it really easy for everyone to just pick one of the three questions or one of the three choices here. All right, so what brings you here? Let's see. Wow, fast and furious, the responses are coming in. Okay. All right, so a lot of you are wanting to find out more about Agile, what it is. Yeah, okay. And also to and maybe you're thinking about, a change in career, just to see what perspectives there are. Okay, all right, great. So thanks for that. So and also then about the same level, you are also wanting to learn something new. Yeah, okay. So guess what? You're in the right place. Yeah. So we're gonna explore this a little bit more as we go along. Thanks for the responses. All right. So, what brings you here now that I have a good idea of, what you are looking for in this session, what's of interest? And maybe first, let me just uncover some of the emerging trends, in across industries. So as what Daniel has also said in the opening, right? With the pandemic situation right now, so on the business perspectives, businesses are more, have more focus on and the speed of digital strategy execution. Yeah, so there's a lot more push in that. For the consumers, they are also pushed towards technology, using technology to meet their needs. Yeah, so we see that there's a rise in online shopping. We see that and at the beginning or at the start, actually video games sales went up. Yeah, because people were looking also for an escape, right, when you're confined to your homes. A recent survey that or the data that has been collected by LinkedIn Jobs and Jobs on the Rise report. So specifically looking at the Singapore area. Here are four things that were prominent. So, most of the jobs actually have an IT or digital component. Soft skills are in, yeah. So this is about collaboration, empathy, understanding each other better. We are also seeing that the cross-industry skills that are transferable. Yeah, so here we are seeing that the skills that an individual have, right? Employers are increasingly thinking about like, hey, okay, maybe I can hire someone from another industry because they have that common skill set. Yeah, so a lot more opportunities are opening up in there. And we are also seeing some changing work dynamics. Yeah, so with this, then we have employees and staff, right? More of us thinking, hey, previously we talked about work-life balance. now we are really focused about on work-life balance. Maybe can there be some flexibility in the work hours, because I'm also having a family to take care, or I'm working from home, and there might be some inconveniences that I have to factor in. Yeah, so these are the four key trends that was seen in the jobs on the rise report, so specifically for Singapore. And you'll see also then, at the bottom a snapshot, right? Which are the four areas where we see the trend also taking place. Also, things like traditional jobs, or acceleration of digital transformation. We also see online education and coaching. Yeah, so much like today, where we're sitting in this session virtually, but it also opens up other opportunities. So businesses, as they are, trying to keep up with these changing times, right? They also start to think about, how can I be more flexible? How can I respond to changes effectively as a business? Yeah. So this also brings a change in the way that businesses operate. Yeah. So now there's more focus on, okay, what are the customers wanting? What are the customers are saying? What are the changes that's coming along? And nowadays we also have to take into consideration, more regulatory advisories in the different countries also. All right. So where this was important last time, and now it's even more important, right? So especially if my core offering is having a direct impact or direct interaction with customers. So for businesses, increasingly they're into searching, then selecting, what they should do, going towards implementing, and then activating the value. Yeah. So as you can see, right, at the end of this funnel, what is really important is getting value for the customers and for the businesses. All right. So as we look at trends, there is also a few different job roles that are growing, and this is also coming from the Jobs on the Rise report, based on the skill sets and the positions that are open. You'll see that most of the jobs here are IT related or have some component of technology in it. And most of these positions also, have some interaction with the agile way of working, or require some skills in this new way of working. What this is, we're going to unpack this in a moment. All right. You'll see that, things like artificial intelligence, things like being a data specialist is coming more and more into focus. But right at the bottom here, we also have product owners, and there are also a few emerging roles around the product owners, or the team that the product owner interact with, which we will look at shortly. All right. So when we look at, these changing environments, and also what the future of jobs is, this survey that was done by the World Economic Forum just last year. So what they gauged was that about half of employees need to rescale by 2025. Yeah, and I also know that now, there's such a big movement, right? Like especially in Singapore, the amount of opportunities that we have in order to upskill ourselves, in order to go for training. In this survey that was conducted by World Economic Forum, it also says that, around 40% of workers require upscaling, and that's looking at 6 months or less. All right. It also means that, for some skill sets, it is possible to be upskilled in less than 6 months. Yeah. So, and I'm going to share, a sample of what these skills could be, and what is important in addition to training. All right. So when we look at these emerging trends, right? Okay, businesses are looking at new ways of operating. They're listening to customers more. They also have to adjust faster. We see that businesses correspondingly are needing more specific skill sets, and new roles are coming up. In order to fulfill these needs, right? There are some about top 10 skills that are needed. And I've just summarized it into these four categories, which is having a solutioning mindset. Yeah, so being able to spot opportunities, being able to be creative and constantly learn from opportunities. Then it's also about collaboration. Yeah, so being collaborative, working within your team, but also with other teams or other colleagues. Yeah, so really establishing that network in order to achieve success or the business goals. Then we also have self-awareness and self-management. So this is, typically what we say is also one of the soft skills, right? So we saw in the LinkedIn report that soft skills are in, right? So that level of self-awareness and knowing where your bias is, knowing, what your values, your own personal values and principles are, and how does that play out in the workplace? Yeah. Then we have also, of course, the tech savviness, right? Being familiar with the use of technology, maybe being also involved in the design of technological solutions. Yeah. Along with this, you'll see that on the right hand side, situational leadership. Yeah. So with that, it's also to say, hey, how I carry myself in different situations because times are changing, and the way that leaders behave is also quite important. Okay. So question for everyone, what does agility mean to you? So we know times are changing. We know that we want to be more flexible. We want to be able to respond better. So I'm going to open a second poll just to hear from everyone, and we're going to make it very easy again. So you can select the choices. Yeah, 4 choices for you to select. What does agility mean to you? Okay, all right. So a lot of you are saying it's a mindset, being able to respond to choices. Some are saying it's a new way of working. Okay, small number of you are here to find out more. Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Thanks for your responses. So a lot of you are aware that agility is a mindset. It's about a new way of working. So it's maybe not so much about what are the processes and the tools that are involved so that I can be agile. It's first I have the mindset, and then I will find the methodology, the processes, and the tools to support me to be able to better do this. Yeah. All right. Thanks for that response. Okay, so with that, I also gauge that maybe some of you have also already an exposure to agile or what agility is. All right. So first off, maybe let's look into this box that we call agile. And in essence, when we talk about agile is a mindset. We are focused very much on the values and principles. Here on the screen, I have these 4 values that we see: individuals and interactions, working software, customer collaboration, responding to change. And these are what we term as, more valuable items for us than what is on the right. Yeah. So in terms of practicing, right? So this came from the software development industry, and increasingly we are also finding that businesses and teams that are maybe not, predominantly IT driven, they are finding value in practicing these 4 items in real life in their way of working. Okay. So when we look at agile at the essence of it, it is incremental and iterative. A lot of times you compare this with the traditional way of managing projects, yeah, so which we call waterfall. So you'll see on the screen where you have a team doing the defining the requirements, another team to build it, and another team to make it available for users or for your customer. And then at the end of the day, you cross your fingers and hope that value is achieved. Yeah, you make typically you make a large plan at the start of the project, and then it runs hopefully according to plan. We also know that the real world as it is today, a lot of changes could come into play. All right, so there are also a lot of risks. Okay, so when we look at the agile way of working, in essence, we when we say that it's iterative, we are working in small cycles. Yeah, so in each cycle, we are defining with a cross-functional team, what to build and what to make available to customers. All right, and you'll see these value here, right? So it becomes like enables us to have a check-in with our customers, with our users to see, hey, I've built this small part of the solution which we think would address your pain points and your challenges. Tell us, if this is working for you. All right. And then we take that feedback and then put it into the next cycle. Yeah. So a lot of the teams that I work with and organizations that I've worked with across organizations, right? They find that when they switch to the agile way of working, there is an increased visibility. Right. So typically, some of the challenges become more obvious, yeah, and the information across teams becomes clearer for everyone to see. It helps us to also de-risk projects and create more value. So every year there's a survey that is done. So this is the last one that is available right now is in 2019, where they surveyed about slightly over 1,000 respondents in various industries and different sizes of companies. So when we look at agile as a mindset and we say that okay, there are these 4 values that we practice, in order for teams to be able to practice this, there are some methodologies that come into play. Yeah, so this is what you're seeing on the screen. We have about 60% practicing a methodology called Scrum, where teams work in fixed time boxes or a fixed duration of cycles. Yeah. And we see here that there are also various types of agile methodologies, and these all would work, for the team in order to help them to practice the values and principles. Yeah, so it gives some guidance to that practice. At the same time, when we look at all these various methodologies and we see this movement towards agile transformation, as we call it, there are some agile related roles that are also coming up. So we're hearing, more openings for the product owner, for a Scrum Master, yeah, for an agile coach or an enterprise coach. And as you can see on the screen, I've just put down some key pointers on, what each of these roles do, and all of them practicing that mindset, right, or that leadership skill of servant leadership. All right, so less commanding, but really more engaging the team and thinking about, how can I best serve the team? What are the strengths of the team that I can leverage on? Yeah, really making the strengths, using the strengths of the team to maximize value. All right. So I just did a quick check yesterday, and on LinkedIn, a quick search, right? There's over 100 roles, new roles available or in the listings, right, for product owner. For the Scrum Master, slightly half, and then wow, and quite a lot of listings for agile coaches and enterprise coaches also. So there's this trend, that businesses are looking for these positions. All right. So let's look at, okay, great. We know that these roles are on the rise. We have an appreciation of what agile is. We know why it will be more useful. So let's look at the top 3 tips. So I'm going to share today top 3 tips for you to maybe get started or to consider if you are thinking to embark on an agile career, or if you're thinking that like, hey, I'm a project manager now, where can I go from here? All right, so what do you need? All right, so number one, a lot of you already know this from the poll. I can see that a lot of you see agile as a mindset, yeah. And while we are, sprinting towards creating the product, that collaboration and that trust, that focus, and the commitment is so important. All right, so we talk about, agile being a mindset. So the values and principles would take precedence over processes. So here on the screen, right, some quick tips of, how can we practice these values and principles, and for you to consider, what would work for you. All right. So the magic here is about practicing the values and principles, and that it really, shifts the game towards being agile. So we are looking at, collaborating with each other. Simple things like, hey, let's have a direct conversation rather than sending a long email chain. Let's put different expertise together to work in cross-functional teams, yeah, so that there's less silo, yeah, so there's less conflicting KPIs by departments. Let's maybe explore that. Next will be to look at, can we create small pieces of the solution and build it up to the full picture of that end product or service. All right. So here, as we build in the small cycles, we are constantly seeking feedback. Yeah, and these feedback will allow us to improve, would allow us also to create a product that the customer needs. Okay. And also one very big tip here, yeah. So if an idea doesn't work, or you find that like, hey, I created this small mock-up or a small prototype of this product or service, and customers don't seem to be receiving it well, no matter what we try, and maybe it's just not the right idea right now. Yeah. So don't be afraid to scrape an idea. The third item would be to understand what the customer needs are. All right, so really empathizing with them on their experience, and last of all, of course, to be flexible. Yeah, to see whether there are some opportunities that you can tap on. Okay, tip number 2: start small. All right, start small. Let's not be ambitious. Let's start small. Look at what can be done. And the first thing of starting small is to up our knowledge. Yeah. So when I say up our knowledge, right, it is upping our knowledge in Agile. What is Agile? What are the different methodologies? In which scenarios does each of these methodology work better? And also maybe I want to know a little bit about the knowledge domains, yeah, whether it's on the technical side. So if you have a technical background in software engineering, so maybe for you will be to find out about, hey, what does agile software engineering look like? What does automated testing or DevOps look like? And or consider maybe on the business perspective, product ownership, managing products, maybe commercialization of products. And the third one, third domain, transformation. Yeah. So if we talk about getting an organization to move to transition towards these new ways of working, what does it entail? Yeah. So upping your knowledge in this, and you can do so by acquiring that basic knowledge through courses, looking for opportunities to practice. Yeah. So this will also up your competency level. And perhaps some of you or a lot of you already have an exposure to some of the offerings from NTUC LearningHub, which Daniel can talk about later. All right, then the third one is to build up your network, and apologies for that last point there, which is slightly covered. So building up your network, finding people of common interest to come together. So it can be by joining an agile community. So there are a couple of large ones in Meetup or even on LinkedIn. So join in the conversations, ask questions. All right. So these could be also opportunities to up your knowledge. And on a practical aspect, all right, so once you have that knowledge, right, you are also naturally looking to practice. So what can you do if you're thinking that, hey, maybe I want to understand what Agile is before I do a career switch, or maybe before I explore this role? You could maybe think about, an area of work or a small project and experiment with that. Yeah, so a safe area. You probably already have a small team that you work with quite well, or you maybe have some good friends, right? Good friends, colleagues in the organization, which you can say, hey, we have these common needs and these common pain points. Can we work together and maybe try some of the practices in Agile? For example, having a quick daily check-in. For example, instead of planning to build that whole large product or large solution, maybe let's create a prototype first and get some validation from users. Yeah, so identifying what's most important, what's easiest to build first, so that you can test with consumers or customers. Okay. Top tip number 3, practice with experiments. Okay, all right. So this is also, very much linked to your top tip number 2, which is start small, right? So your experiments, you can also think about, hey, okay, maybe I don't have an agile team right now. What can I do? I still want to practice. So very much linked to top tip number 2, will be to look at what's happening around you, what opportunities there are. Usually opportunities lies where there are challenges, or when your customer or your colleagues in the organizations have some pain points. Yeah, perhaps certain business processes are taking a long time. Ask them, why, understand the work process. And if this happens also to be one of your project, then you could start with these steps. Yeah. Okay. So a lot about, what we call learning from users. Yeah, getting their feedback as a part of the experiment, and then having a two-way conversation with them on, hey, what might a potential solution look like? Yeah, can we maybe share a few different ideas of solving these challenges, and then picking the one that makes most sense, and finding out what is the easiest way to build a prototype of it. Okay. And when I say build a prototype, it doesn't mean that, oh, we have to go into active coding, right? Like, you don't have to, oh, okay, I need to go and find a programmer. Yeah, it could be, maybe let's draw up a sketch of what this solution could be, and take these sketches and ask our colleagues if that works. All right. So some of you who may be exposed to the lean startup way of working, yeah, so there's a bit of a link there with the agile way of working. So as we look at these top 3 tips, right? I'm actually curious, what inspires you, and what might you leverage on your next on your current role, your skills, and for you to also think about, what's next. Yeah, I've ran through, the data and the skills that are needed, and also the top 3 tips. I see a lot of activity in the chat, and I've deliberately also left us quite a bit of time for us to have a little run through the questions and answer, and be able to answer them. Okay. And probably from this session, right, I'm curious to also hear from you, what is the first thing that maybe you want to do today, from this sharing that you are hearing. Okay, so I'm going to take a look into the chat right now, into the Q&A. And Daniel, if you spot any that are, of interest, or where you see that, like, hey, quite a few people are asking the same questions, you can also let me know. All right, so we have quite a bit of time for us to go through some questions, and also I can share from my experience. Okay. All right, so I have a question here. So with practice, right? Gaining practical experience after courses. So if we go for top tip number 2, which is upscaling ourselves, so having that competencies. Yeah, are there matching roles for us to gain experiences to enhance our proposition to the hiring manager? Yeah, so with top tip number 3, and I think nowadays increasingly there are a lot of hiring managers, as I know, right? Because they're looking for that transferable skills. And if you have opportunity to work with a team who were really collaborative, but maybe they didn't practice any of the Scrum, any of the Agile methodologies like Scrum or Kanban. But you see that, you know, they have that they are practicing that 4 values. You could maybe showcase that. So increasingly we're seeing that, you know, cross-industry transferable skill, and hiring managers being a little bit more open around that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Regina. Yeah, so I think I would like to, because I've been looking through some of the questions, right? So I think one of the questions that was asked is how, after taking up the IC Agile courses, maybe what would be next? How do students gain practical experience? And are there matching roles for students to gain experience to enhance their proposition? So I guess it's what is the next step after getting a Agile cert?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so this is the question that I just answered. So with top tip number 2, you know, you go for a course, right? And then the next thing you want to look for is an opportunity to practice. And you could do this in your current job, even right before you apply for a position or hire as a, say, product owner. Yeah, so I would say look for opportunities in your area of work to practice. Yeah, so and I'll just put that slide up here. Yeah, so starting small. Yeah. Okay. I think in relation to this question, there is one which I'm sure a lot of our participants have in mind. Also, what background and experience will make a good profile for an agile coach? Yeah. So for an agile coach, usually we say then the competencies, right? And maybe first I'll start with you know, what are the typical type of work that we do? Yeah, the different hats that we wear. Yeah, so an agile coach is a little bit different from the professional coach, where, you know, you go for life coaching or you go for leadership coaching, where really that conversation is focused on the coachee, yeah, and helping them to maximize their potential. And agile coach plays 4 roles. So one is that of a coach, which is in the professional coaching sense. We are also teachers, so we train, we give knowledge. Sometimes we also play the role of a mentor. So based on our experience, we share, you know, how a particular piece of work can be done. Yeah, we are also sometimes facilitators. Yeah, so taking that very neutral stance to help the team to discover what that solution is towards that their desired outcomes. So this is the broadly, you know, the 4 different hats that agile coach wear. The background, I would say, you know, having knowledge, right, of the domain area. So whether it's in the technical area, business area, or in transformation, that would come in really handy. So at least one of these. If you have experience in practicing agile and also lean startup way of working, that would be a great help. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. I see a lot of questions on certification. Yeah. So perhaps I will okay, so this question, you know, for IC Agile certifications versus PMI, AC, ACP, and it's my so asking for my thoughts, right? So it's my personal view. I tend to go for certifications that are more knowledge and competence related. Yeah, so where there is more focus on competence only, because I feel that concepts is one way of gaining knowledge. We learn so much more when we put the concepts to practice. Yeah, so in that way, I often lean towards IC Agile courses, because it really also focus on that competence level, that practice. Okay, all right. Daniel, any interesting questions? And let me see in the chat also.
Yeah, Regina, I guess some people also are wondering because Agile is very synonymous with like people in the IT profession. So they're asking, you know, like how applicable, Agile is to, other areas. And also if they are not from the IT background, how do they get into like a Agile role, and whether Agile is applicable for, sales and marketing functions. So questions like how applicable Agile is, outside of the IT field.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks, Daniel. And actually, that's a hot question. That's a burning question because when we look at where Agile was born, right? It was from a group of software developers. It was from the IT industry. Increasingly, we are seeing a lot of organizations are practicing Agile, mainly because we say that the values, right, or rather these organizations sees the values as industry agnostic. Yeah. So this is an area where we talk about our business agility. So as I shared in the slide earlier, right, where we have that funnel, right, enabling us, giving us a way to be able to select ideas, to look and to hear from the customers, to start with small building blocks and get feedback. Yeah, so absolutely, Agile can work outside of the IT industry. It works particularly well for complex scenarios. So if you think that, oh, okay, I think customers are facing this problem, I think there are a couple of solutions. We need to test this out. I'm not quite sure what that end product or service might look like. I have a fuzzy idea of that. Yeah, then in this case, Agile would work really well because of that discovery mode. Yeah, as compared to the traditional way of working, where you need to have all the information up front and then you plan for a large initiative or large project. Yeah. So what do you do if you don't have an IT background, right? Because Agile typically you have there's this close association with IT. Personally, I am not a developer. Yeah, so my background is in mechanical and production engineering, and I work a lot with product management or product innovation and development. I would say it's not 100% necessary to have come from an IT developer background or to be able to read a lot of the programming languages, but an appreciation of that is definitely needed. Yeah, so then this will tie in with upping your knowledge in that technical area. Yeah, so it could be as simple as understanding what DevOps is, yeah, having an appreciation, or maybe partnering one of your colleagues to learn a little bit more so that you can be a little bit more cross-functional. Yeah, so you don't have to be a full level expert. Yeah, but you at least have some appreciation of that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me see. There's a lot of questions. There's a question about whether the slide deck will be shared. I think there's a recording. Yeah, Daniel.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, this recording will be made available maybe on YouTube after this session. And also just one question to check to throw to Regina as well. So what is I think people also want to know, what is the value of having this Agile certification? What do they get, after getting certified, and how easy is it? Let's say you're not doing anything related to Agile, and then you take up these courses. How easy is it to transition into a Agile role? Because you have trained many students, and I believe that you are in touch with some of them. So maybe you can share this in this group here.
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So, okay, I have a certificate. What value does it bring me? Or I'm thinking about going for a class that comes with a certificate. First of all, is the value for you is definitely the knowledge, right? Getting to know a new area better. For those who are looking for new careers or new positions, then it is also a signal, I think, to most hiring managers, right? One is, that spirit to learn is there. Two is you know the basics, and hopefully then you are also seeking opportunities to experiment or to practice. Yeah, so the value will be there. While you have a certificate, for me, I always say, I look for chances to practice. It's like learning a language. I learned Spanish and German when I was in university for 6 months. The only of these two languages that I get in touch more is Spanish, and I can still speak it. So it works on the same way as any skill. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, so there's an interesting question here about agile and big companies, maybe uh, not all of them or not many of them having the agile mindset. So then it becomes a challenge for teams to practice the agile way of working. Yeah. So, are there any career opportunities for agilists, and how to change the mindset of these organizations and people? And maybe it's also related to the previous question on, what is the background and experience. I think for an agile coaches, for an agile coach, or if you're an agile practitioner, especially if you are, one of the forerunners, right, in an organization and you're looking to practice, one very important element is that maybe I'll say two. One is that growth mindset. So finding ways to keep yourself having that positive mindset, yeah, and also being realistic. Two is to build that resilience inside you, because sometimes change can be tricky, right? Change, if something has been working well, or if it's more of an unknown for others, then maybe there's a little bit more resistance in there. Yeah, so I would say that how to change the mindset of the organizations and people. What I find that works better or more effective is when there's an example for them to see. Yeah, so it ties back with this starting small. Yeah, if they see that, like, hey, this team is doing really well. Why? Oh, okay, they're doing they're checking in on a daily basis. They are working very closely with each other. They have all the skill sets that is required. They are cross-functional. Yeah, then you start to see some interest in this, and then you can duplicate this. And actually, this was the way that I started with introducing Agile to the first organization that I worked with. I kind of fell into the world of Agile when I was working with a vendor who was practicing one of the Agile methodologies. Yeah. So after seeing how it works, I kind of like duplicated it with other teams, and other departments got interested to see, like, hey, why are these teams more successful? Yeah. So that can be one way of doing it, and typically it's best when people see an example. Okay.
Regina, I
Mm.
think this question might be quite interesting for you because somebody asked in the marine and energy industry, which is where you're from, what area of Agile is commonly used or practiced? I think that would be a interesting question for you to take.
Oh yeah, yeah, right up my alley. You spotted that, Daniel. Yeah, so um, for me, if you ask me, the marine and offshore industry are a little bit more traditional, and I think it's for a good reason. So same as oil and gas or any industry that is high risk, which also means that the experiments that we do, right, has to be safe for our colleagues who are working out on the field, or for the people who are going to use the products. Yeah, so how Agile comes into play is with innovation and product development. So when we are enhancing products, so that checking in with the customers and getting their feedback. Also in testing out new technology. Yeah, so you'll see that these are small steps. We aim on getting started with the first small steps, rather than say, hey, big bang. We are going to try this new technology, remote inspection, and then we put it to the field. Yeah, typically no. Yeah, so it's for these more conservative industries, actually I find that the agile approach seems to work better. However, the organization mindset, right, sometimes needs a bit of prepping and needs a bit of groundwork to be done. Yeah. Thanks for that question. Yeah. Okay.
I think that there's somebody also asking about this whether agile is the same as the idea of piloting some ideas before implementing it as a solution. What is your answer to that?
Yeah, so definitely, I think it's closely linked to the idea of pilots. Yeah, so usually there's a step before pilot, so which is that prototyping that I keep mentioning about, right? That quick and dirty way, because your pilot will be, you know, in a shape that's quite close to your end product, and then you make it available to your customers. Yeah, so definitely there's a close link to that pilot. Yeah, so like sometimes you see some companies like Apple or Facebook, they are asking for beta users, right? They're inviting actually users to come on board and give feedback and try any new features before it is made fully available to customers. Yeah. Okay. All right. I see a question here. So, and it's about agile in F&B. And I actually really like this question. F&B is, you know, an industry where, you know, I usually use examples. And sometimes I realize that those who are working in the F&B area, like for example, in restaurants, they might not know that they are actually using some elements of the agile methodology. So, for example, when you go to a restaurant and you order your food items, right? It's kind of like a first in first out kind of order, right? It's about efficiency. Yeah. So and so I think while you know when we think about practicing agile, right? It's a lot about these values. You know, what are the key principles that we can do, that we can incorporate in our way of working. Yeah, so and you'll see that, okay, for restaurants, before they start a shift, they actually gather together, give each other updates. What are the changes today? Are there any obstacles? Yeah, this is actually a key element of practicing agile. So keeping each other informed. Yeah. Yep. So I see one about, you know, agile is more soft skills, so no need IT skills. This question I think we took earlier. So it needs to be a combination. Yeah. So if you have maybe less background in the IT skills and appreciation of it, and or upping your knowledge in that area will definitely be useful. Okay. All right.
Regina, at this stage, maybe if you can allow me to share as well some of the Agile courses that's offered by LHub, as some of them have asked some questions about it.
Yeah, I see a
If
lot. Go ahead. Yes.
you could allow me to take over for as host, so that I can share my screen.
Okay, sure. Just 1 second.
Okay, I guess can you all see my screen, Regine? Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Can.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see many of you asking questions, and I think that we may not be able to answer all of your questions, but we can leave you with, you know, my email contact perhaps, and then we can address it from there. So later on, I will give it to you, and after this session, we can also, you know, come back to address some of your questions via email. Okay, so some of you are asking about the courses. So currently NTUC LearningHub is offering 3 different courses from Ic Agile. So Ic Agile is a globally recognized certification body for Agile, and it's a very popular certification recognized by globally by most companies. So currently we have Agile Team Facilitation. It's a 2-day course which will enable you to learn facilitation skills under the Agile framework so that you can lead the team to higher level of performance. So what is unique about NTUC Learning Hub is that we have 95% IBF funding for Singaporeans and permanent residents residing in Singapore. So as you can see, the original course fee is 2,200, but after the 95% funding, it's just over $100. The delivery mode is VLC. VLC means is over Zoom. So you don't have to, like travel to the physical location, especially during COVID. And we also have Ic Agile Coaching, which is a 3-day course. So this Agile Coaching tracks, explores the mindset, stances, and skills needed for facilitation, coaching, mentoring, and teaching in an Agile team context. So this is especially useful if you are exploring a career with coaching, or you have a people manager and you want to coach and lead them in the Agile journey. Okay, so as usual, with the 95% of funding is about $175, and that you will get the certificate that's shown here. And we also have Ic Agile Agility in Marketing, which is aimed primarily at people focused within the sales and marketing function. So as we have mentioned, that there's disruption across many sectors and areas. Even functions like marketing, it's changing the way that the projects are done and the skill sets needed to accomplish in an agile way. That's why we have this agility in marketing course, and this will teach you the agile way to run your marketing projects effectively. Okay, just to note that the agile courses requires 100% attendance and passing the course assessment. Singaporean citizens can also use SkillsFuture credit to offset the course fee. So if you still have SkillsFuture credits, you can use it entirely to offset the fee. And also if you're an NTUC member, you can use UTAP. And if you would like to find out more about these courses, we have, I will now show this QR code for a couple of minutes, and you can scan it and then fill up the MS form. And we will get our sales consultant. I think for those of you who have done NTUC Learning Hub courses before, you know that we have a sales consultant that will approach and advise you on the courses. So I will just leave this on for about 2-3 minutes. Okay, I trust that you have probably fill up the form. The other way that you can find out more is to go to our website, which is the NTUC LHub website. Okay, I may just answer a few questions here. Edward So has asked when is it starting? Yeah, we have our sales consultants will get back to you on the available course dates. Because now this is a very popular course. We run, maybe something like 8 to 10 course batches for each of these courses in a month. So there would be, plenty of opportunities to sign up. Cindy has asked about the training allowances for individuals doing the course. Currently, the training allowance for IPF for individuals sign up ended 31st December last year. Now it's the funding of 95% portion. Somebody has asked about the new Ic Agile courses. We have plans to launch some of new Ic Agile courses, such as Agility in HR, Leadership, Agile Leadership, and also Agile Product Owner. This will likely to be in the coming months, so you can check with our at the NTUC LearningHub website. And Eddie has mentioned that have difficult to scan. Can I sign up alternative way? Okay, let me give you the website on the chat. And also Ed Lim asking about the coming months, maybe no more 95% IBF funding. Yeah, the IBF funding will be here until 30th June 2021, and subsequently it will become 90%. So there is still a few more months to go. Maybe I can invite Regina to just answer one question on the, somebody was asking to elaborate more about facilitator. Maybe it's mentioning about Agile team facilitation. Maybe you can take up this question while I type in the website to everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So, and I think the Agile Team Facilitation course is also a popular one nowadays. When we talk about facilitation, it's a group activity, so that is run by one person whom we call the facilitator. So the facilitator comes with his toolkit to guide the team to meet their goals and the desired outcomes. Yeah. So for example, if a team comes and say that like, hey, we're thinking to add this new feature to our existing food delivery app. Yeah, we're not quite sure. We think that there could be many ways of doing things, but then we just want to have a brainstorming workshop. Yeah, can you help us conduct this workshop? Yeah, so the facilitator would come with the different tools and techniques to help the team to reach the goal of finding that prioritize or finding that one golden idea to test with first. Yeah. Okay, so that's also answering the question and putting an example. So hopefully that helps. I see there are a few of our attendees are raising up your hand. So if you have a question, feel free to put it into the chat. Okay, so looking up for those also. All right, so back to you, Daniel.
Okay, yeah, thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon. Our scheduled time is up for this course. So as mentioned, maybe I'll just put in my email lastly, so that if you have any burning questions, you can check with me, and if needed, I can also check with Regina on this. Yeah. So thanks everybody for your time. Thanks Regina for your enlightening talk, and wish you all a good weekend ahead. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
thank
close
you.
the
Thanks
session
everyone.
now. Yep. Thank you. Thanks.